Good day. Today I want to talk about how I approach markets, how I view the markets, and how I generate trade ideas. So just for a bit of context, I have not looked at the markets for basically a day and a half now because I'm currently moving. I've traded Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and it was horrible because, as you know, if you're trading, you need to be in a stable mind state and a stable mindset. You can't be doing multiple things. So I haven't looked at the market. I haven't looked at the news. I have no idea what's happening as it relates to the DAX, currencies, Forex, nothing. I am currently completely out of tune with the market. So that's a bit of context here. So this information here on my currency analysis, which I will explain, it may be a bit outdated because I haven't updated it in 2 days. So here is how I generate trade ideas. So first of all, to generate a trade idea, the question that I asked when I was creating this system was, I asked, what moves price? What are the factors that influence price? When you look at a chart and you see the candlesticks going up and down and back and forth, what are the factors contributing to that movement? So that was the question that I asked when I was creating this software to generate my trade ideas. And I knew that fundamentals move price. So what's happening in an economy? So if you look at the US dollar, I have US economic data here, which I use to track economic data. So you have the labor market, inflation, and productivity. So that's the first factor that moves price, and this is this right here, economic fundamentals. And I categorize this into three separate sections: labor market, inflation, and productivity. So if we have a weak labor market, inflation is slowing, and weak productivity, this is bad for the dollar. So in a situation like this, the economic fundamentals for the dollar are not supportive, and the dollar may more than likely weaken. So that's factor number one, economic fundamentals. So you need to look at a country's economic, whatever currency you're trading. So here we have the yen, and I have Japan's economic data. It's similar. So you have inflation and productivity. I actually put the labor market inside productivity here, but it's the same thing. So you look at the different sectors of an economy to decide the strength of an economy, and that can influence the price of a currency. So that's factor number one. Factor number two is narratives, and this is really important, and this is very tricky because narratives can be subjective. Narratives come and go. Sometimes they may influence price today, and then tomorrow they don't really influence price. So the thing about narratives is they're really subjective and they're not really quantifiable. So with narratives, you just have to do a lot of reading, see what people are talking about, and what are influencing investors' decisions, and so forth. So for example, for the dollar, I will zoom in a bit here. So for the dollar at the moment, the narratives that are driving price, and I have not looked at the markets for 2 days, so I'm not sure if there's any new narratives or whatnot. So the Russia-Ukraine resolution, this is not good for the dollar. It's not necessarily bad for the dollar, but the Russia-Ukraine resolution is very good for the euro, and it's good for the pound. And because the euro and the pound is inversely correlated, this will weaken the dollar. So that's the first narratives that's negatively driving the dollar. Next, we have US exceptionalism. So you know that everyone is saying, oh, that US is slowing. Europe is now the new investment haven. So that's also driving the dollar down. And on Wednesday, we had a Fed meeting, and Jerome Powell was pretty dovish. So this was also a negative narrative that drove the markets. And as I said, sometimes these can be subjective. Sometimes they may influence the market. Sometimes they may not. So thing about narratives, it's very tricky. It's not really quantifiable. It's hard to measure, but I usually have this here because I know that for a fact that narratives drive price. So 1, macroeconomic fundamentals, 2, narratives, and next 3, emotions. Emotions also drive price. So when people are more risk averse, there's a lot of fear in the market. So people maybe buy the dollar for safe haven, or buy bonds, and they may sell stocks. So that type of emotions can drive price. And you also have greed. When there's a lot of euphoria in the market, you will see a lot of people just be buying the Nasdaq, buying the DAX. So risk assets do good whenever there's a lot of greed in the markets, basically. So that's another factor that drives price. So economic fundamentals, narratives, emotions, and then lastly is technicals. Technicals are actually I actually only use technicals for mostly entries, right? But technicals can signify profit taking. It can signify if a market is overbought or oversold, how close it is to its fair value and so forth. So the way that I judge technicals is I just say if the market is in an uptrend, this is a positive technical. So, and if the market is in a downtrend, this is a negative technicals. So currently the dollar is in a downtrend, so the technical is negative. So those are the 4 factors that I have concluded that drives price. So know that these 4 factors: economic fundamentals, narratives, emotions, and technicals. It would be wise to track all of these 4 factors and then give them a score. So if economic fundamentals are strong, narratives, emotions, and technicals, that would signal a buy, and vice versa. If they're weak, that would signal a sell. So that's basically how I track the factors that move price, and then I go to the charts and I execute my trade ideas. And as you can see here, we have COT positioning, but I would not say COT position it influences price, because positioning is a lot more nuanced than that. You're not just going to look at the commitment of traders report and you're going to that doesn't necessarily drive price. And that's why the influence here is neutral. But the commitment of traders report, it usually gives you a general idea of how institutional money is positioning and what big players in the markets are doing. So that's why I have COT positioning here, but it is not a factor that necessarily influence price. So this is how I track, and this is how I generate trade ideas. Now, the thing about doing this is I have to do this manually, right? So as you can see here, I manually write up all of these stuff. Whenever there's a data release, I come to my Notion, I insert the JOLTS job number, I insert the NFP number, unemployment rate, I insert CPI, federal funds rate, and all of these stuff. So I have to manually do this, right? And it's very, very time consuming to be tracking all of this. So I do this with all the currencies that I trade. So Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, the pound. I trade equities and commodities. So I do this with the Nasdaq, Aussie 200, DAX, gold, oil. So I have to manually do all of this stuff, and it's very time consuming. It really is. But at the end of the day, this is how I make money. So I have to put in the work. But a lot of this can be automated, and this is why I'm actually planning on building a software. So this is a tool here. It's called Figma. You just use it to basically create software design. So this is the software that I'm planning to work on to automate all of this stuff, so I don't have to manually insert all of these data. I'm planning to call it top-down macro. So that's the name of the software, for short, TD Macro. I think that's a cool name. So as you can see here, this is kind of like the main dashboard. This is the idea that I have. I might change the color and so forth as time progresses, but this is just a general template. So this software is basically going to do the same thing as this, but more. It's going to have everything that I need to trade. So I won't have to use a software here and a software there. This software will have every single thing that I need to trade in one spot, and this is why it's called top-down macro. So you do everything from the top, the macroeconomic fundamentals, and you come all the way down, right? So this is my software here, and if we go to, what would you call this, I don't remember, the sidebar. Yes, this is the sidebar. So if you go to the sidebar, so at the top we have the dashboard, and how I'm planning to create this, the only idea I have at this moment for the dashboard, I definitely need a risk on, risk off gauge. So as you know, risk tolerance is a major influential factor in determining price. So if there's a lot of risk on sentiment, you can expect risk assets to go up, the Nasdaq, Hong Kong 50, you know, all of those stuff to go up, oil and whatever. So I will have a risk on, risk off gauge here, and this is the main dashboard. So this is the first thing I should see when I open my software. What is the current risk tolerance? Is it risk off? So I should be looking to short indices. I should be looking to go short the pound, short the Australian dollar, or is it risk on? You know, so that's the first section here. For the rest of it, I currently don't have much more idea, but I'm just going to put other important stuff on the main dashboard, the things that I want to see as soon as I open the software. I actually have an outline for this here. So the main dashboard, risk off, risk on, that's the only thing I have so far. Next we have what I call the system, and this is this right here. So this is going to be me automating all of this. So currency analysis in this section here that I have titled the system, as you can see, separated in currencies, indices, commodities, and fixed income. So for currencies, it will simply basically display this, but you know, in a more user-friendly format. You know, I'll be able to customize the dashboard, but it will have the economic fundamentals. There's no way to quantify narrative, so unfortunately I'm going to have to manually track narratives, but it's also going to have emotions, COT positioning, technicals, and then it's going to give the particular currency a score, and then I could see that, okay, my system is currently giving me a bullish reading on the dollar, so I should be looking for longs on the dollar, or a bearish reading or whatnot. So that's basically the system here, and then it's separated in indices, commodities, and fixed income. So that's section about the system. Next we have macroeconomic data, which is, as you know, is the most important thing for me in trading, and this is just this right here. So I'll be able to automate the macroeconomic data in different countries. So like the US, Japan. I actually have all the countries that I trade, I track them. So US, Japan, UK, Canada, Australia, and China. So on my software, I'll be able to track every single one of these automatically. I won't have to manually input the data and so forth. Next we have positioning, which is really important for me because I want to understand how is institutional money positioning, right? Are they bullish, are they bearish, and so forth. So you'll have a positioning overview, and this will just give you a basic overview. I'm not sure how I'll make that yet, but you know, just have a basic overview to say that, okay, institutional money, they're all very bullish on the Nasdaq, or they're all very bullish on the dollar, or whatever, you know. And then obviously we have large speculators, asset managers, leverage funds, and managed money. So here I'll be able to automatically track all of COT positioning, and I'm really excited to get the software up and running so I can really stop manually doing this. And next we have sentiment, which is also very, very, very important, and something I think a lot of retail traders don't focus on a lot. So for my sentiment, if you go to the notes here, and we go to sentiment, so similar to positioning, I want to have a sentiment overview. So this will give you a basic overview of what's the current sentiment, what's the risk appetite, and so forth. And under sentiment, I want to add the CNN Fear and Greed Index, which is a very cool feature that CNN has, and I'm definitely going to plan to link that to my software. So if we go to data here and we go to the Fear and Greed Index, this is this on CNN's website. Let me turn off dark mode. So this is the Fear and Greed Index on CNN website. You can see that currently the fear level is at 20. So the fear level, there's a lot of fear in the markets. Now you can see the timeline, and I really like the fear index. So I'm planning to add that next. The AAII investor sentiment survey. This can give you a good look into sentiment. Next, we have the put to call ratio, which is actually internalized in the CNN fear and greed index. So I might not have that. And next, I want to link like a news API. So I would track different websites like Twitter, Reddit, Bloomberg, CNBC, and see what everyone is talking about, and then like give what's the sentiment. So what are people on Bloomberg and CNN and CNBC talking about? Is there a lot of fear? Is there a lot of risk off? So that's sentiment right there, and that's another feature that I'm really excited for. I don't see any software that does any of these stuff. So that's the whole reason why I'm doing it, because these are things that I use in my trading, but I have to manually get these from different places. And next, we're going to have news, which is going to be basic. News flow for me is very important because I intraday trade alongside swing trade. So I need to know the moment a big news gets released, I need to be able to see that, to see what's moving the markets, what's, and so forth and whatever. So that's news. And next, I'm going to add a feature called the trade index. And this feature is a feature that I'm really excited about. So the trade index will be basically like trade ideas. So I will generate my trade ideas and I will share it in the trade index section, and maybe people can come and look at this. They can get ideas from what I'm doing, what I'm looking at in the markets. And also I may actually get some other people, because I have a few friends that trade as well, and they're really good traders. So I might actually get them and allow them to be like a writer or something in the trade index, so they can share ideas as well, and people can get trade ideas. So that's the trade index. And lastly, we have economic calendar. Very straightforward. The way that I like to use and analyze economic calendar is just way more advanced than the current economic calendars that I see. So this is why I'm adding economic calendar, because as I said, a lot of these features, they're just, I don't know, I'm just not pleased. I'm not impressed. So I'm planning to create an economic calendar, and this economic calendar will be 100% perfectly suited for me. It will have everything that I need in a very easy to understand format and so forth. So that's my idea for it so far. This is the interface, just a regular dashboard, something very simple, nothing complicated with a bunch of writing and all that stuff. So that's how I analyze the markets at the moment. I have to do a lot of this stuff manually, so I have to track all of this stuff manually. And in the future, hopefully a few months from now, I can get this software up and running, and I can automate all of my trading. So I can just come in my system, and I can just look what's moving the markets, and I can just go on the charts and generate my trade ideas. So I am actually pretty excited for this, and yeah, that's about it for the video. As you can see, I haven't really talked about anything about trading, which my usual videos are about, and that's because, as I said, I'm currently moving. I'm just avoiding the charts. I do not want to look at the charts at the moment. So I don't know what's happening in the markets. I don't want to know. I'll get back on the charts Monday again, but for now, I don't know what's happening in the market, so I'm not talking about the markets today. I may do a weekend analysis, I don't know, but yeah, that's about it. Peace and trade safe.